Good morning. You can see we've got clouds and storms here, and I was gonna go out and see if I could get a little walk in, but there's still lightning in the area and thunder. So we're gonna be weather aware and weather smart. As a matter of fact, the verse that I picked out this morning was in chapter 20, verse 5. And in my version of the Bible, it says, good advice is always found deep within the heart. Other verses say, a man's purpose is deep within the heart. But right now my purpose is and good advice to take is to not get struck by lightning. So I'm going to go seek some cover or shelter in our nice little pool area and be safe. So, and let's see, there's a metal table. I'll just stand here. You never know, lightning can come in sideways. So I'll show you my view. We don't really have much of a visible sunrise today, but anyway, made sure I adjusted my Wi-Fi there so we don't get interrupted. It's a little bit of a doozy this morning. Even lost power for a short bit. So let's see where the lighting's a little bit better. Okay, so let's chat. And today's title is a little interesting because it's based on an analogy that I want to make, or that came to me, called home maintenance. Well, what does that have to do with good advice and looking deep in your heart? Well, let me tell you. Okay, the full verse, me paraphrasing it from the different translations, is our answers are within. Your life purpose, your own good advice, and somebody with good understanding will know that and go in and know how to draw it out. Wow. That's something that I feel like that probably caught my attention because I feel like I'm in that right now. And even when I can look back over the last few years, I can see that I was slowly, like the lights were starting to come on a little bit, and I was heading in this direction. And I probably wouldn't have known that, or that verse might not have landed on me the same way, because I just knew something had to change. You probably had a crossroads like that where you're like, okay, I got to get off this hamster wheel. I can't keep doing this. Something's got to change. And you take a deep breath and you dive in and you're willing to really do the work no matter what. You're committed. Or sometimes we, decide that it's too hard and we go deeper into the hole. Yes. So, and I probably did both of those things. I went deeper. I had some moments where I was like, oh, it's just too much. I'm just gonna, stay on this hamster wheel. It seems too hard to get off. Until I was finally ready to. So I think we all have those moments in our life, and you also got to seize those moments. But the reason, and probably because I'm also in the real estate business, and I've built a couple of homes. We've built a few of our own homes. I mean, not personally with my own hands, but, been very involved and even hiring subcontractors and being on site almost daily and really understanding the process. And being a homeowner, if you're a good homeowner, you know how important home maintenance is to keeping your home running well. And a lot of us take better care of our homes and our cars than we do ourselves. Can I get an amen on that? Yeah, we really do. And, or even our clothes. We might be so particular about how our laundry is washed and how we fold and put away. And, and we don't pay that much attention to ourselves. We don't take ourselves to the doctor and to the dentist or heed their advice when they give it to us and do the things we're supposed to in between our visits. Like, I know I'm not alone here. Or, it's hard. We have decision fatigue. We make a lot of decisions in a day. A lot of us have other people to also keep in mind and take care of, whether it's our children and our families at home, aging parents, work, you've got colleagues, like we've got a lot. It's a lot. And a lot of us, as ambitious people, we just keep adding things onto the plate without ever like pausing and going, wait a minute, if I take this on, should I not take that on? Or do I need to make some adjustments? Do I need to go into my home, my brain, my heart, my capacity? Like, do I even have enough self-awareness to know any of this, right? We just do and do and do. We live, especially those of us in America, in the United States, like if you look at the Enneagram, if you know anything about the Enneagram, as a culture and as a nation, we are a type 3. The do more, multitasker, achiever, want to look good on the outside while it's all maybe crumbling on the inside. But our way to just keep proving to ourselves is just to do more and hustle more, perform. Or another word for that is the performer. And a lot of us are performers. But okay, so let's go to home maintenance and use an analogy that to me makes sense. So let's see if you can track with it and if it makes sense to you. So one of the most important, there's a lot of internal mechanics that run a home, just like you have the major body systems. You have a brain, you have your lungs system that carries oxygen throughout your body, your blood system, your electrical system, and all of it needs to be working together. Well, homes are pretty similar. And one of the major systems is the furnace and the HVAC system. And some people are better homeowners than others and understand how important that is. And there's a lot of different moving pieces in an HVAC system because there's ductwork and vents and filters, and a home, believe it or not, when you build it, actually has to have vents in it, so it can breathe. If you make a home too airtight, it's actually counterproductive. So the house itself has to breathe. You've got to have proper venting. You've got to have filters. And a lot of people forget to change their filters. Filter our eyes, our brain, our ears, our mouth. And then what is all of that is connected to internally. There's a filtering system. We have the gates. And then internally we have the vessels and, all the other systems that take all that information and filter it so that we can get the nutrients we need from it, the minerals, all the oxygen, the elements that we can take and absorb and then exhale or excrete what we don't need. So I actually think this is a pretty good analogy. And when you are in your home, and especially if you're an allergy sufferer, or even if you're not, if you don't maintain your home, you could be breathing in all kinds of crap. You and then you're not even, you might be going around thinking, oh, well, this home is broken, or I'm broken because I just can't get comfortable. Or, and you know, with an HVAC system, there's also the control panel on the wall. And we might, if we don't understand how that works, and we're just walking around and we get, you know, hot at night, and you go and check your furnace and maybe you turn the temperature down, but it doesn't work, then you've got to go and you've got to go deep within and find out the purpose, you know, of your system and what's not working. And that can get expensive. It can get complicated. You see where I'm going? So it's actually easier and better if you take good care of it, follow the maintenance schedule, do all the things you need to do so that your system will take care of you and your home. So you can always rest assured knowing, oh, yes, my home is healthy. I'm breathing clean air because I changed my filters. I check and make sure the condensers and all the different parts are doing what they are. I check the dampers in all the rooms and the vents, make sure the air is flowing, you know, appropriate to every room, and I don't have hot spots and cold spots in the house. I check and make sure my panel is working well so I can regulate on any given day based on what's happening outside and my experience of life on the inside. You tracking with me? And with people, a lot of what we do is just look on the outside. We don't really take the time, and then we even tell ourselves, I don't have time for that. Or we start with one specific thing out here that's maybe a surface level thing versus going internally to the mechanics and going, okay, is my filter dirty? Have I changed it in a while? Have I looked at it and checked the health of that? Is it collecting mold? And even if I just checked it and maybe some mold got in there, do you know how quickly mold can grow on a filter? Or if moisture gets in, and then it can contaminate your home. And for those of you that understand home stuff and even your car stuff, like think about like the health of these things. And yet we pay more attention to that than our own. And we don't even understand. So of course we can't draw it out because we don't understand. That's exactly what this verse is saying. Somebody with understanding will be able to draw it out. Well, one, because they understand how to take care of it, and then they are actually doing the taking care of. You know, a lot of Proverbs is repetitive. And that's, we humans, we need to hear things 10, 20, 50 times. And part of the reason for that is not just because that's how we learn, but part of how we learn, and we need to understand, is that we're always different. You're not the same person you were even yesterday. You've had experiences that have added to you and modified and changed you. And so the same brain you had yesterday might hear something differently. Or see or understand. So one of my favorite quotes is, you never dip your toe in the same river twice. Because why? The river is always changing. It's always flowing. That water is never the same. But when you don't understand, you look at that river and it looks the same to you. It's not. And you're not. Your toe's not the same. Because the toe that is connected to the brain and the eyes has different understanding of life and different experience today than yesterday. And maybe if today and yesterday is too, like, you know what, Felicia, I am the same. Then look at 5 years. You know, use the time frame that works for you for understanding. Don't get too focused on those nuances. Make them work for you in your understanding. But when you can go deep within, the answers are there. But for some of us, if we haven't been maintaining our homes well, we've got to do a lot of mechanical work first before that understanding, before we have access to that, and it's all kind of working together. The first verse of this chapter also caught my attention, and it was actually my starting point when I sat down and sort of evaluated the whole big picture of my system and my life and my home being, my mind and body and spirit and all of that. I had to really okay, what's the biggest thing that's getting in my way here, my lead domino, that if I do this one thing can really start to move the needle and help this system start working again. And that's what you might need to do too. A lot of times we just, whatever sounds good or whatever our friend is doing or the magazines say or the latest thing that we hear, we just, oh, that sounds good. And we just go in that direction. And that's where we can still feel like on that hamster wheel where we're up here trying to fix something rather than going deep and fixing something. Anyway, I did not say the first verse. I do that sometimes. I rabbit trail myself. You've probably noticed if you listen. So back to the first verse, wine makes a mocker of people. And you cannot, it says it very specifically, you cannot be wise while while alcohol has influence in your life. So for those of you rare breeds that can just, have the celebratory glass of champagne at the wedding, go out to dinner with your friends and have a beer, and you don't go home and need to have 3 more, and you're not having it on a regular basis, this is not for you. This is not one of your maintenance issues. But for me, it was and I knew it. I had looked deep within. I had started this process and I evaluated and I was looking at my whole home maintenance system, and I was going, what's the biggest thing right now that's the maintenance issue? And let's start there. Even though it wasn't what I wanted to do, even though I tried all the other things and I was trying to fix it, duct tape it and maybe fix the things and patch it together and make it keep working for a while. Some people approach home maintenance that way too. Rather than just really getting to the bottom of it and really fixing it and making the system work for the long term, their approach to home maintenance is, let's just replace that little part. I know the whole system is bad, but I know I can buy myself some time by just fixing this one part here. And that's okay. I'd rather spend, a small amount of time and $50 and patch it back together versus really the expense and the time of really addressing the issue. And maybe, and this is a true story too, and this mindset might even apply to this, is that you think, oh, well, this isn't my permanent home. I'll just fix it good enough for while I'm here, and I'll let the next person deal with it. And we do the same thing. We think we've just got more time and it really is not that important. And yeah, I know that my family has to put up with some of my crap, but that's okay. They love me anyway. It'll get us through. I'll fix it later. It's really not that important. Or, they'll be out with kids. Oh, they'll be out of the house one day. Or maybe you think divorce is the answer versus doing the hard work. I think that is happening a lot in our society today, which is why, anyway, that's another conversation for another day. So whatever it is for you, you've got to have a starting point. And it takes honesty. It takes this really looking within and wanting to understand, because this is not easy stuff. No. To be fully self-aware, to be fully honest, and that means seeing all of that crap that's in your filter and then going, wow, I let that build up. I let that be what was getting through. And no wonder I couldn't understand the good advice or see the love, because I've got this mucky filter full of just junk and mold, or I've got my vents closed and I'm just shut off. So no wonder things aren't flowing for me.